we have maybe 20 years old difference.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't see you when you were young. But
Seen you when I was young, surfing pipeline.
I don't know, but I noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
When you were when you start pipeline surfing?
Yeah, I started surfing pipe when I think I was around 10. Was like the first time I went out.
Okay.
My uncle Derek Ho
Yeah.
took me out and he pushed me into a couple waves.
Yeah.
And I remember my
At
first
pipe?
At pipe, yeah. Pushed me into a couple waves at pipe, and my first wave
Yeah.
he pushed me into, I got to the bottom and cartwheeled and got super pounded and was like kind of tripping out a little, like scared. And then my next wave he pushed me in, I got barreled, and I was like, oh, and I couldn't believe it. And
When
then
you were 10?
Yeah, when I was 10. And then ever since then, I was hooked. All I wanted to do was surf there.
Since then, you surf every season pipeline?
Yeah. So when I was 10, I went out and I checked it out. It was really small when I was surfing it, obviously. I was so young, and it was like the first time. And then ever since then, I would just go out and kind of sit in the channel and just watch, like 11, 12.
Yeah.
And then once I got to 12, I remember the end of the season when I was 12, I started to try and go out and catch waves when it was probably 4 to 6 feet, but just be out in the crowd and trying to feel it out and get little waves was cool. And then ever since then, I just kept going every season and tried to get bigger, and then I fell in love with surfing it and everything about it.
How's it grew up in North Shore as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid growing up on the North Shore, it's crazy. You see all your favorite surfers in the world come there every year, and you surf with them, and there's all the big contests and stuff. So it was really cool, just as a kid, and I always dreamed of being a pro surfer. So that was really, really cool. But when you're a kid, it's really hard to get waves, just because it's you have to respect all the older people.
Yeah.
And you have to put your time in, and you're still a young kid, and you kind of just get the scraps. You get the littler waves and stuff, which is cool. But I don't know, I just think it was insane, because we just surfed all day, me and all my friends, and that's all we loved to do. And after school, we would just go to the beach and just surf the rest of the day. And
When did you start surfing?
The first time I got on a board I was 2. My dad.
2?
Yeah, my dad pushed me in. I had little floaties on and stuff, and that's when the first time I actually went surfing. And then ever since then, he would just kind of take me. And then I think I really, really, really got into it when I was I really liked it when I was 5 and 6, that's when I was okay, this is fun. And then ever since then, I just never stopped.
You vision yourself to be a pro surfer when you?
Yeah, for
when you
sure.
were?
When I was young, that's the only thing I wanted to do. I also skated a little, and I was I want to be a pro surfer and a pro skater, but I love surfing more than skating, and I put all my energy and time into just getting really good at surfing, and that was my favorite thing to do when I was a kid.
Surfing.
Still is my favorite thing to do.
When I see Hawaiian history of surfing, it's not really about competing, right? It's
No.
about riding waves.
Yeah.
How do you guys pick up competitive? How do you learn to be a competitor?
Yeah. I think obviously the first and foremost, I think when everyone especially in Hawaii, when you pick up surfing, you fall in love with it,
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm in love. Have fallen in love with surfing. Everyone I know loves surfing, and it's kind of a way of life in a way.
Yeah.
And then there's a certain people who love surfing, but are also really competitive.
Yeah.
I feel certain people were born with being ultra competitive. You look at Andy, and he was a competitive maniac. Even John is a little more mellow, but he's really competitive, and I think you develop maybe skills down the road just to.
But how?
I don't. I feel it comes from just wanting to be really good at surfing, and feeling you want to be the best at it, I guess. I don't know. I'm really, really competitive.
Best surfer doesn't mean you're best competitor.
Yeah, the best surfer doesn't mean they're the best competitor at all. I don't know. I think it's all a mindset, I think people develop a certain mindset, and they just really want to be the best. And when you want to be the best at something, you devote, a lot of time and energy into learning the craft of competing and learning the craft of surfing and perfecting your skills and learning strategies and what to do and what not to do. And you have to be really acceptant of what happens, I feel like. And
Accepting of what happened?
like accepting of what happens, like it means like you have to be okay with whatever outcome happens.
Yeah, okay.
And you have to learn from each outcome,
Yeah.
whether you win or you lose.
Yeah.
And in surfing, you do a lot more losing than winning.
Yeah.
Just because it's a really hard sport. I think it's one of the hardest sports in the world. You know, you're dealing with Mother Nature, you're dealing with the ocean. You can never really understand what Mother Nature's going to do, what the ocean's going to do, what's going to provide you during a heat and stuff like that. So you have to just, you know that whatever you're doing is the best outcome for what you want to happen. And accepting whatever happens is going to happen, and just keep moving forward and keep learning from every opportunity and every mistake and every win and every loss.
But from your perspective, what do you think how the Japanese people become a CT surfer?
Oh yeah.
What is lacking, you think?
Kanoa, for instance, right? Like I guess he's a little different, but he's obviously really good in small waves, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like all Japanese surfers are really, really good in small waves. And I think they're really also good in big barrels. Like during the backdoor shootout, they all get the best waves, you know? Like I watch the event every year, and the Japanese team always does so good.
Yeah.
And they're like crazy. Like they take off late, like have really good technique, pull into huge barrels, make it out. So I think like small waves and then like big barrels are really good, but maybe not as good in like the big like sunset. Like maybe it's harder, I would say, but it's hard to say because to get on the CT, you have to surf like really good small waves.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the CT, it's not always like, it's like you have the pipeline is the first event, which is like barrels, and then after that it's kind of like it's a weird, like it's like mushy waves and like not like really, really good waves. But I don't know, I feel like they're all surfing really, really good, and they're all on the right path. Like especially coming to Hawaii, like I see them, they all come to Hawaii like all year, like, or for the whole winter and practice and stuff. So I don't know, I feel like they're all on the right path, and I think there's gonna be like in the future a lot of Japanese surfers on tour.
You think?
Yeah, for sure. Just because like, I mean, it's bound to happen, you know? There was one point where Brazil didn't have that many people, and now they took over basically the whole surf industry.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's definitely a possibility for that with Japan, which would be cool.
The good surfer doesn't mean you're a good competitor, right?
Yeah.
Or you can win the heats.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel more of a physical than a mental.
Yeah. Surfing in my book is 90% mental and 10% skill. You know? I mean, obviously, you want to get really like you watch an Ethan Ewing and you're like, okay, this guy is like one of the best surfers in the world, or John in certain waves, you know, Medina, all these guys, Felipe. You watch them and you're like, okay, these guys are like, there's a different level, you know, it's like very, very elite level. But like, they could be that good, and then they could put a jersey on and like not know how to compete, but they're so good at competing too, especially Medina, that's why all the results come, and that's why they win. It's because they know their mindset is, I'm the best surfer and no one's gonna be able to beat me. And they got down the contest strategy, and they know exactly what they're gonna do.
How to get the contest?
I think it comes from practice, a lot of practice. You know, surfing a lot of heats, a lot of losing. You know, and then I also think it's a lot of belief in yourself. You know, knowing that like, hey, learning, and believing in yourself is a big one. Like being like, I can beat these guys. Like this is everyone's good at surfing, but if I get the right waves, I'm gonna beat them. So just believing in yourself and having an open mind to learning and experiencing new things, and not seeing a loss as a loss, instead of seeing it as a loss, seeing it as a learning experience. During like the beginning of the off season, or whenever, like the off season when I'm not competing in like the winter time, like probably October, November, December, I'll kind of just like surf and like have fun and make and just practice things like on my own, or like try and get clips for like a part or like a movie or whatever. Just like have fun and surf. But then once like the end of December and then January, then I start to like run heats and work on boards and practice strategy and work on certain things that I need to work on in my surfing. That's when I kind of start to get ready for the season. But when I'm just surfing day to day, I just kind of go and have fun.
Really? Not worry about the competition.
Yeah, I don't really worry about it. Like once it gets closer, like January, then it's a little different. Like I surf, like the mindset switches and I'm surfing totally different. But when I'm surfing now, it's just
surfing.
Yeah, just have fun.
Do you have a sparring partner or something?
I just surf with all my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many good surfers on the North Shore, you know? Like, you go out any day and, you know, John will be out there and you'll surf with him or, you know, whoever it is, you know?
True.
You know, Kelly will be around or, you know, and then all the surfers come in, like, to just, like, surf. So you see all, like, the best surfers in the world. But I mostly just go surf with my friends, like Noah Beshin, Makana Pang. That's who I kind of, like, surf with the most.
And now, you know, the next generation, like you guys, you know, back in the day, you just compete and you make money from sponsors. You know, the YouTube, you have to create your own content. It's completely different. It changed. What makes a pro surfer a pro surfer?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah, I feel like nowadays there's a lot of people who say they're a pro surfer, but they're not actually a pro surfer, you know? It's hard. I don't know. There's so many like people who say like, oh, I'm a pro surfer. And it's like, are you though? Like, you're not that good. Or, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to say because, you know, all these people, like the YouTube surfers and stuff, like you got the Jamie O'Brien, like Jamie O'Brien, for instance, he's a pro surfer. He won the Pipe Masters. He's really good at surfing, you know? And then you got other people who like aren't as good, you know, they're not that good and they kind of just surf and then they like make money and then they're like, oh, I'm a pro surfer. I don't know. I feel like it's so hard to say. I guess when you like start making money, you're a pro surfer, but I feel like all these people are like making money, like little bits of money, you know? So it's kind of hard to say, but in my opinion, it's like if you're on the Challenger Series and you're grinding and you're getting like, and you're good enough to be on the Challenger Series, or you're an up-and-coming kid who's winning contests and you're like, you know, actually doing good in contests and like, or like you're a free surfer that's like actually a really good free surfer and people back you and like you understand the sport and that stuff, I feel like that's what makes a pro surfer, you know? Not just like some guy who makes a clip on YouTube and says he's a pro surfer.
I guess what I wanted to ask, that's the point I was also, to make money. Like, for example, you have to create your own content and you have to compete and you have to also, like, you make your own parts for the movie. Is it stress for you guys or it came natural to you guys?
I like it just because it's a little the content creating, like the Instagram and the YouTube and stuff is a little harder for me. Because it's hard, I don't know, I just feel weird sometimes about like promoting myself on there. It's just a little like uncomfortable. But like to get content and like surf and stuff, it's pretty easy just because I surf so much, so I get a lot of content and stuff. But for 8 months out of the year, I'm competing, so I kind of have like a big portion of my time like taken up by that. So I don't have to like worry about the content and stuff because that all kind of follows with the competing. And if you're winning events, it's like, okay, you're like a legit pro surfer and like it's a big deal still. But yeah, definitely, it's a little interesting because there's all these things now you have to do that's attached to being a pro surfer. You know, like you said, like you have to make your own content, you have to post on your Instagram, you have to do the YouTube, you have to make your own parts, you know, and all these brands want to be a part of you, but it all like matters like, oh, how many followers do you have on Instagram, you know? It's still like, oh, how many events, like, have you won anything? But it's more so like the Instagram is kind of taking over and it's a bigger deal to have more followers on Instagram almost in a way.
Than the
win contests, which is crazy to me because I don't know. I mean, you're obviously you growing up, you were watching like Derek Ho and all these people like Kelly Slater winning and you're like, oh, these are like, like the best surfers in the, you're the heroes and they're winning contests. And now it's like kids will like look up to someone who like doesn't even know how to do a proper turn, you know, and it's just it's a little interesting thing, but I think at the end of the day, it'll all come back around, you know? It always does, you know? Real surfers will always outlive fake surfers. It's just how it is, I feel like. So it'll all come back full circle. And if you're on, like, competing and doing your thing and winning events and really striving for a goal, that always will be seen, you know, in a way. It always eventually gets seen.